The arrival music and first contact. The discovery, the Galactic Coalition, had ruled the known universe for 12,000 cycles. Their authority stretched across 47 galaxies, encompassing over 2,000 intelligent species. They had seen countless civilizations rise and fall, each one eventually bending to the Coalition's supreme power. The Coalition believed they had witnessed every form of life, every type of technology, and every military strategy the universe could produce. They were wrong. Discovery came from a routine patrol in the Outer Rim territories, a region considered so insignificant that only automated drones monitored its vast emptiness. Sensor Officer Krell of the Vaxton Empire was reviewing data transmissions when an anomaly appeared on his screens. A massive vessel unlike anything in the Coalition database was moving through uncharted space at speeds that should have been impossible. The ship was enormous, nearly 5 km in length, with a design that defied conventional physics. Its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making it appear as a moving shadow against the stars. Krell immediately reported the finding to his superiors. Within hours, the information reached the Coalition High Command, the Council of Elders representing the 12 most powerful empires convened an emergency session. They reviewed the data with growing interest. This unknown vessel represented either a tremendous opportunity or a potential threat. Either way, they needed to establish contact and assert their dominance. First contact protocol. The Coalition dispatched Ambassador Thorne, a seasoned diplomat who had successfully negotiated with 73 different species. He traveled aboard the flagship Eternal Dominion, accompanied by an escort fleet of 50 warships. This show of force was standard procedure. The Coalition had learned long ago that peaceful negotiations worked best when backed by overwhelming military superiority. As they approached the mysterious vessel, Thorne opened communication channels across all known frequencies. After several attempts, a response finally came through. The voice was calm, measured, and spoke in a language the Coalition's translators had never encountered, yet somehow the words were perfectly understandable. This is Captain Sarah Chin of the human colony ship Perseverance. We come in peace, seeking new worlds for settlement. We mean no harm to any civilization we encounter. The word human meant nothing to the Coalition databases. This was truly a first contact situation. Thorne felt a surge of excitement. He would be remembered in history as the diplomat who brought a new species into the Coalition fold. Welcome, Captain Chin. I am Ambassador Thorne of the Galactic Coalition. We represent the governing body of all civilized species in this region of space. We invite you to join our alliance and share in the prosperity and protection we offer. There was a brief pause before Captain Chin responded. We appreciate your greeting, Ambassador. However, we must decline your invitation. Humanity values independence and self-determination. We seek friendly relations, but not membership in any governing body. The ultimatum. The Council of Elders was outraged. No species had ever declined Coalition membership. Such defiance could not be tolerated. It would set a dangerous precedent. High Commander Zerk, leader of the Coalition military forces, recommended immediate action. Show of overwhelming force would bring these humans to their senses. Within 2 standard days, the largest fleet ever assembled surrounded the human vessel. 3,000 warships, representing the military might of the coalition's most powerful empires, formed a perfect sphere around the Perseverance. Each ship bristled with weapons capable of destroying planets. The message was clear: submit or be destroyed. Ambassador Thorne opened communications. Once more, his tone had changed from welcoming to threatening. Captain Shin, you are surrounded by 3,000 warships. Each one possesses firepower beyond your comprehension. You have one standard hour to surrender your vessel and accept coalition authority. Failure to comply will result in your immediate destruction. Captain Chen's response was unexpected. Her voice remained calm, almost sad. Ambassador Thorne, please withdraw your fleet. We do not wish for violence, but we will defend ourselves. If necessary, you do not understand what you're dealing with, High Commander. Zarich laughed at the transmission. 1 ship against 3,000. These humans were either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. He gave the order to power weapons and prepare for a demonstration. Strike. They would disable the human ship's engines first, then board it and take the crew prisoner. The vanishing. What happened next would be discussed and debated for generations across every civilized world. The coalition fleet powered their weapon system. Simultaneously, 3,000 ships armed with enough firepower to shatter moons took aim at the single human vessel. High Commander Zarich gave the command to fire before a single weapon could discharge. The entire fleet simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no energy signature, no distress signals. 3,000 warships and over 15 million coalition personnel vanished. An instant. The only thing remaining in that sector of space was the human colony ship floating peacefully as if nothing had happened. Monitoring stations across the galaxy registered the disappearance. The coalition High Command initially believed it was a sensor malfunction, but as reports flooded in from multiple sources, the horrifying truth became clear. The fleet was gone. An entire armada, the pride of the coalition military, had been erased from existence by a single human vessel. Panic spread through the coalition like wildfire. Emergency sessions were called. Military forces across all member empires went on high alert. How had the humans done it? What weapon could possibly eliminate 3,000 ships without leaving any trace? And most terrifying of all, if one human ship could do this, what would happen if humanity decided to retaliate? Ambassador Thorne, who had been observing from a safe distance aboard a monitoring station, sat in stunned silence. He tried to contact the Perseverance again, but Captain Chin did not respond. The human ship simply continued on its original course, moving deeper into uncharted space as if the coalition fleet had never existed at all. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The age of coalition dominance had ended in a single terrifying moment. Humanity had announced its presence to the universe, and the message was clear: leave us alone or face the consequences. The truth revealed. The investigation begins. The disappearance of the coalition fleet sent shock waves through every corner of the galaxy. For the first time in recorded history, the mighty galactic coalition faced an opponent they could not understand or defeat. Emergency protocols were activated across all member empires. Trade routes were redirected, colonies were fortified, and every available warship was recalled to defend home territories. Fear gripped the hearts of trillions. The Council of Elders convened in continuous session for 7 standard days. Arguments raged between those who wanted immediate revenge and those who advocated caution. High Commander Zarich had survived the disaster only because he had been commanding from a remote location. Now he stood before the council, his pride wounded and his reputation in tatters. He demanded permission to launch second assault, this time with 10,000 ships, but the council was divided. Meanwhile, the Perseverance continued its journey through space, seemingly unconcerned with the chaos it had created. Captain Sarachin maintained complete communication silence. Every attempt to contact the human vessel went unanswered. The ship's trajectory indicated it was heading toward an uninhabited star system in the far reaches of unclaimed space. Coalition watched and waited, desperate to understand what had happened to their missing fleet. The Drexery Empire, known for their advanced sensor technology and scientific prowess, volunteered to lead an investigation. Their emperor, a pragmatic leader named Valorous, believed that understanding the humans was more important than seeking revenge. He personally selected a team of the galaxy's finest scientists and equipped them with the most sophisticated scanning equipment available. Their mission was simple: approach the human ship, gather data, and return safely. No weapons would be activated, no threats would be made. The Second Fleet, the investigation fleet, consisted of 500 vessels, each one a mobile laboratory filled with the Coalition's brightest minds. They approached the Perseverance cautiously, maintaining a distance of 1 million km. Every sensor was focused on the human ship, scanning for any unusual energy signatures, dimensional anomalies, or weapon systems. For 3 days they observed and recorded data without making any aggressive moves. Emperor Valorous himself transmitted a message to the humans. His approach was different from Ambassador Thorne's earlier ultimatum. He spoke with genuine curiosity and respect. Captain Chin, I am Emperor Valorous of the Drexy Empire. We do not come as conquerors but as seekers of knowledge. Please help us understand what happened to our missing fleet. We wish to establish peaceful relations with humanity. This time Captain Chin responded. Her image appeared on screens across the investigation fleet. She was surprisingly young, with dark hair and tired eyes that held both wisdom and sadness. She looked directly into the camera and spoke with quiet authority. Emperor Valorous, I appreciate your respectful approach. What happened to your fleet was not an attack. It was a defensive response triggered automatically by our ship systems when your forces powered their weapons with hostile intent. The Perseverance activated its protection protocols. Your fleet was not destroyed, they were displaced. The word displaced echoed through the council chambers where Valorous was transmitting from. What did that mean? Captain Chin continued. Before anyone could ask, humanity discovered dimensional technology 200 years ago. We learned to manipulate the fabric of spacem itself. When threatened, our ships can create temporary dimensional pockets and transfer hostile forces into alternate spatial coordinates. Your fleet still exists, Emperor Valorous They are simply existing in a parallel dimension approximately 3.7 light years from their original position. They are unharmed and their ships are fully functional. The revelation, the implications of Captain Chen's words struck the coalition leadership like a physical blow. The humans possessed technology that made conventional warfare obsolete. They could simply remove enemy forces from the battlefield without firing a single shot. No shields could defend against such a weapon. No armor could withstand it. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted dramatically in a single moment. Emperor Valorous processed this information carefully. He asked the obvious question, can you return our fleet? Captain Chen, 15 million personnel are waiting to be reunited with their families. Captain Chen nodded slowly. Yes, we can return them, but first the coalition must agree to certain terms. Humanity seeks only peace and the freedom to establish our own colonies on uninhabited worlds. We have no interest in conquest or domination. We simply want to be left alone to build our civilization in our own way. If the coalition can respect our independence, we will gladly return your fleet and establish friendly diplomatic relations. High Commander Zarich wanted to reject these terms immediately. His military pride demanded vengeance, not negotiation. But Emperor Valorous and several other council members saw the wisdom in acceptance. They had no defense against human technology. Any further military action would likely result in more fleets being displaced. The coalition had two choices: make peace or face irrelevance. The debate that followed was heated and prolonged. Some empires argued that accepting human terms would weaken the coalition's authority over other member species. Others pointed out that refusing would accomplish nothing except making a powerful enemy. Eventually, practical considerations won over pride. Council voted to accept Captain Chen's proposal by a narrow margin. Anew, beginning 3 weeks after the first fleet vanished, a miracle occurred. Missing warships suddenly reappeared in the exact location where they had disappeared. Every vessel was intact. Every crew member was alive and unharmed. They reported experiencing what felt like only minutes in a strange gray void before being returned to normal space. Medical scans confirmed they had suffered no physical or psychological damage. The return of the fleet was met with joy and relief across coalition space. Families were reunited. Heroes were celebrated, but the military commanders who had lived through the experience returned with a changed perspective. They had felt the absolute helplessness of facing an enemy who could remove them from reality itself. Many of them became the strongest advocates for peace with humanity. Captain Chen transmitted final instructions to the coalition. Humanity would establish colonies in 12 uninhabited star systems along the outer rim. These territories would be recognized as sovereign human space. In exchange, humans would share some of their agricultural and medical technology with coalition members. Dimensional technology, however, would remain exclusively human knowledge. The council agreed to all terms. Aftermath: 5 years passed after what became known as the displacement event. The galaxy adjusted to the new reality of human presence. True to their word, humans established peaceful colonies and maintained friendly but distant relations with coalition species. They traded openly, shared scientific knowledge, and even provided humanitarian aid during several natural disasters that struck coalition worlds. The Perseverance itself became a legend. Storytellers across 1,000 worlds spoke of the mysterious human ship that defeated an armada without firing a shot. Some species feared humanity. Others admired them, but all respected them. Captain Sarah Chin eventually retired from active service and became Earth's first ambassador to the coalition. In her inaugural address to the Council of Elders, she explained humanity's philosophy. We learned long ago that true strength is not about dominating others, it is about protecting what matters while respecting the rights of all beings to choose their own path. We hope the galaxy can learn to live by this principle. The coalition did learn, though the lesson was hard. New regulations were implemented, requiring peaceful first contact procedures. The era of forced membership and military intimidation ended. Species were given genuine choices about coalition membership. Many actually joined willingly once the threat of violence was removed. Emperor Valorous, who had led the investigation fleet, became one of humanity's closest allies. He established cultural exchange programs between the Drexer Empire and human colonies. Through these exchanges, both species learned from each other, sharing art, philosophy, and scientific knowledge. High Commander Zerk was quietly retired from service. His replacement, a younger and more diplomatic military leader named Cora, restructured coalition defense forces. The new military doctrine emphasized protection rather than conquest. Ironically, this shift actually strengthened the coalition as member species felt safer and contributed more willingly to mutual defense. The 12 human colonies flourished. Within a generation, humanity's population in space exceeded 2 billion people. They built beautiful cities on planets that had never known civilization. They terraformed barren worlds into gardens, and always they maintained their independence while extending friendship to all who approached peacefully. The Perseverance itself was eventually retired and converted into a museum ship. It orbited New Earth, humanity's first extrasolar colony, as a reminder of the day when one human ship changed the galaxy forever. Millions of visitors from hundreds of species toured its corridors each year, marveling at the technology that had redefined galactic politics. Captain Chin lived to see her great-grandchildren play in parks under alien suns. She often reflected on that fateful day when the coalition fleet had surrounded her ship. She had given the order to activate defensive systems with a heavy heart, knowing it would terrify the galaxy, but she had also known that humanity could not survive by appearing weak. Sometimes peace required demonstrating strength. The key was using that strength wisely and only defense. The galaxy never forgot the lesson humanity taught. One ship had vanished entire fleets, and in doing so had created a more just and peaceful universe. The age of galactic tyranny ended not with revolution, but with the simple human principle: leave others alone and they will leave you alone. It was a lesson written across the stars, remembered by every species and honored by all who valued freedom. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and the galaxy was better for it. The end.